Alright, welcome to How Not to Make 24-Hour Comics. This is the 10th in the How Not to Make Comics series, I believe. We're going to look at my 2008 attempt, which was not a regular 24-hour comic, having successfully done the 24-hour comic, and 2008 was a big year, so since I couldn't get people together to do a 24-hour comic, I did 24 comics and tried to do them in a 1-hour span. I had moved to California that year, and I only lasted out there 5 months, so that tells you how that went. And then this was also part of a thing in my life where I thought people were probably going to be more interested in me than my work, and I was trying to get myself to do more autobiographical work because there's interesting things about me that I've never written about, just because, you know, it seems boring to me because I lived it. I'm not as fascinated with myself as people who meet me might think, so... Yeah, so this is me just trying to show off kind of my weird perspective on things, and so here we go. I haven't looked at this beforehand like I sometimes do, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so this is me going on about Megabus. It was only $20 for us to go because the way Megabus worked was that if you were the first to book a seat on a bus, the price was lower, but as the bus got fuller, the price went up. I think that's how that worked. Yeah. So, anyways, we got on there, and the guy was, like, super jazzy. Called himself Shaka, the smooth operator. I didn't draw these on the day that Did I draw these? Some of them I know I drew when we got back from Coachella, because I wasn't at... Coachella's not 24 days. So... Oh, and I also want to point out that I was using this bamboo pen that was thick as hell, and I was really fighting. Trying to use it because, I always wanted to use like Roll Quill pens and stuff, and I could never get them to hold ink or anything. They just never worked well for me. I don't know what I was doing weird with them. Yeah, so, and since I don't remember exactly, the HellaCoachellas that I put on here, 24 1-hour comics, I did that in Illustrator later. I obviously didn't do that, and that's the only thing that I changed. Everything else is hand done and everything. And so this one I did with time to spare. I was also doing this partially because I talked about in one of the previous attempts that I met a guy who was doing 24 1-hour comics, or I don't know why my mouth went into autopilot. He was doing 6-minute warm-up sketches because he figured. So this was like my warming up to do pages, you know, within an hour. So yeah, not the best drawing. There are elements here that I was playing with text, trying to be more designy, and then doing like loose backgrounds. Some of my stuff looks pretty cool where I do that, because I've always wanted to do more like, I see these indie books that look super loose and like they have a very strong sense of style, and mine just always felt like bad drawings. Like this looks more like a chupacabra than it does a greyhound, which is what I think that's supposed to be. Alright, and these are all my friends that I went with. I went to junior high with all these people. John and Naveen was... John most consistently. I might have talked about him before, where I actually met him in kindergarten, because he was in the morning class and I was in the afternoon class. And there was one day for Halloween where both classes were together. So I met him then, and then we didn't end up going to school together again until junior high. And actually, I kind of wonder if that story is even true, so maybe I'll if I didn't already go into that in another one, maybe I'll revisit it one day. Oh, I put badly drawn on Naveen. It is badly drawn. It doesn't really look like him. Oh, I should put in here that, like, John, I probably drew him the best because a lot of my male characters look like him for some reason. Like, my character Chase from Mental, like, a lot of my characters look like John. There's just something about his face that just has influenced me. And then... put for Lindsay looks kind of like her. Yeah, and I went to junior high with Lindsay. She got on my bad side somehow, probably sticking up for one of her friends. I seem to remember that it had something to do with it. But anyways, call her Ostrich because she was like 90% leg, which not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know. I was a shit sometimes. Overly vindictive. I didn't pick on anybody for no reason. But if you gave me very little reason. Oh, I did this one in only 37 minutes. Nice. Also, that page was the one that explained why it's called HellaCoachella, because everybody in California says hella all the time. I should also mention, because it might come up later, at the time, all 4 of us were living in... Oh, okay, it actually says it in the comics, so I guess I don't need to explain it. But yeah, we went to junior high in Illinois, and all ended up in California for a period. Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out who he was yelling "you're a douche" at. I think it was just random people in traffic. Yeah, this is the second time in my life that I had met Hare Krishnas. I met some at the airport when I was a kid. There's some smudges in here. So far I'm easily making my under 24 hours because they're all way under. Yeah, and then this is my little thing about our pat downs. And yes, I did see people who had bongs taped to their leg so they can get them through the pat downs. Yeah, the secret is just going on the inside of your leg because they usually just pat down the outsides. But I think I've been other places where I've seen them do the inside. Yeah, so apparently if you want to smuggle stuff in, the tent bag's the way to do it because I don't remember them checking that. And for good reason. Those things are hard as hell to get in there. Oh yeah, there was these cool truck sculpture. These were life-size trucks. They weren't actual trucks though, I don't think. They're just sculptures, but pretty crazy little sculpture. Really breaking down the whole comic thing on this for sure. This one took over an hour. I should add these up and figure out what my total time was, but I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, they had a bunch of other sculptures too, but that was the only one that I drew. I should have worked more in there, but I don't remember how many of these I drew when I was there and how many of them that I drew when I was, I took pictures while I was there or found pictures on, we were on MySpace at the time, so yeah, I took pictures on MySpace. Another bad picture, Naveen, just kept making him look weird. Lindsay and her tiny cowboy hat. Yeah, she seriously was like in a trance and like wandered off. It was crazy. I don't think we saw her until later that night, at least I didn't. Yeah, I wanted to record what all the stages looked like. The DJ lab, I think that's a J. That was where mostly all the DJ spun except Fatboy Slim. He was in like the Mojave, I think. Coachella's okay, so I didn't explain this. For those of you who don't know, Coachella is this music festival. I probably should have explained this in the beginning. Yeah, there's a few things I should have explained in the beginning. Like the fact that I took the megabus is because I was living in San Francisco. And my friends lived in LA, so I actually flew to LA, and then I drove with them from LA to Palm Springs. And so because Palm Springs is in the desert, I guess they named the different stages after other deserts. Alright, I remember. Sorry, I'm just trying to piece together stuff because this was over 10 years ago. So yeah, there was the main stage where all the headliner kind of bands were at, and then the outdoor stage was like the second tier people, like not System of the Down. Yeah, I think the Serge Tankin, or however you say his name, his side project band was playing on this stage, and some other ones I don't remember. And then they have the 3 that look alike, which was kind of the joke I went for there. So anybody who's like met me and I've talked about music to them, I say a lot of my music is from when friends of mine who lived in the suburbs wanted to go see a show, and since I lived in the city, I was almost always up to go see a show, and I never listened to them ahead of time, so I'd go in cold and have no idea what bands I was listening to. So I'm kind of covering that here because Naveen was like the main guy that I would go see shows with because of that. And occasionally, if it was to go see Eric's band, when I talked about Eric in one of the other comics, he would have shows in the city sometimes, so I'd go see him. But most of the music I was listening to was stuff that Naveen had recommended, or John. So here's something I don't think I worked in here, but I had went to Rockfest in Cicero, Illinois, which is a shithole anyways. And from what I've seen of Cicero, but this Rockfest was at this it was at a motor speedway, and so we were standing in the gravel for like 12 hours, and I hate the daylight anyways because I'm pale and I'm light sensitive. Standing in gravel is just really hard on your feet, and and a lot of the people were kind of douchey anyways because Kid Rock was one of the bands there. And I had vowed to never go to an outdoor show again. Well, 2008 was my year for ending a couple of vows. But but anyways, because I didn't know the next time I'd see John and Naveen. And this might have been... No, well, it was one of the last times I saw them. I've seen them a couple times since. But I didn't know when I would see them again. Like I said, John lived in LA, and then... Actually, see, I said earlier that we were all living in California, and that's not true. Naveen had moved to Austin, but none of us were living in Chicago anymore. Alright, okay, yeah, this is what I was talking about with the outdoor stage, because I was trying to figure out why it was called the outdoor stage and not named after a desert. It's because it didn't have a canopy on it. The main stage didn't, and the outdoor stage didn't, and the other three that were named after deserts all had covers on them. So there was no shade to see whatever band was there. Yeah, I totally forgot that I saw Aphex Twin, because the beginning did kind of suck for that. Yeah, trying to capture everything that was on stage when I couldn't find necessarily pictures about it later was kind of... I mean, nowadays, you know, I could comb Instagram and stuff, and I would definitely find lots of references. It was a real pain in the ass on MySpace. And actually, I had joined the message boards so I could go back later and look at pictures. So some of the stuff I probably just couldn't find pictures of later. And I don't think I had a camera on my phone. I still had a flip phone at this point. Yeah, I got my first, like, non-flip phone a few months after this. So, oh yeah, Fatboy Slim was great. Which was really funny because years ago, Fatboy Slim was on a show called Loveline. He was saying how he doesn't do many concerts because he just spins, and he doesn't think it's as entertaining as watching a band. You know, he thinks it's really boring, so he usually just DJs parties. So I partially wanted to see him at this show because, you know, he had said that he doesn't like to do concerts. So I was like, oh, I don't know the next time I'll see him. But yeah, the setup he did was just amazing, where it looked like audio levels. Like, yeah, it was really slick. I really liked it. He's got some good showmanship, so... Yeah, and he did start with the Willy Wonka World of Imagination, or however that song goes. From the old Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder sang that. Yeah, I like how I don't establish a lot of stuff in this comic. It's just really random thoughts. It is not... considering how much time I had to do this, I should have done... This is just bad comic storytelling in a lot of ways. I didn't set up exactly what Coachella was. You know, they're just kind of like random, out of my ass observations. I had some people on the Coachella boards like it. I wouldn't want to package this and try to sell it because I do not explain anything. Like, I should have established that we're all camping and stuff, and I sort of did, but I don't know. I should have set this up differently. Just noticing that now. Oh yeah, I forgot we were in this tent that was like... It was like 2 tents in one, and it had the kids tent and the grown-up tent. So me and my girlfriend... Oh yeah, so my girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, she's from San Diego. Oh, okay. It was Lindsay's tent. That makes sense. Lindsay camps a lot. Like, she does some hardcore camping, from what I remember. Well, it's kind of weird to say on a scene where I'm talking about having sex with my girlfriend in her tent, but... And I point out that there's someone else's sleeping bag. It's all my junk. Yeah, so just talking about... I really didn't have a lot of stuff for camping. I was living in a little studio apartment before I moved to San Francisco with my girlfriend. I had a lot of comics, but basically not much else. So I didn't have any camping gear. Lindsay had made sandwiches, apparently. I forgot about that. I seem to remember I ate some of them and they were good before they got wet. I'm just going to assume has good taste in food, just because she's creative and stuff. Like I said, I don't know Lindsay super well, but I have good impressions of her. And best part is she doesn't remember me picking on her in junior high, or at least claims not to, so, you know, bonus. Yeah, this is still true about my feet being gross. Doesn't show up well here, but I like to call my feet my hooves, because I have, like, a serious amount of dead skin on the bottom of them. Yeah, and so I was barefoot pretty much the whole time at Coachella. And it was freaking hot, too, and it's only in April. I can't remember if I actually saw these things on the ground at Coachella or not. Maybe. Not positive. This is like one of the better comics, I guess. I don't know. I like things that are... I like lists in comics, which I've talked about before. But my little commentary on all the butterfly tattoos. I saw all the butterfly tramp stamps I saw. And then this one was like a flock of butterflies, which I thought looked really beautiful. I really liked it. It's like if you do a cliche, do a twist on it. So she likes butterflies. Don't just get one boring butterfly. Get like, you know, a design made of butterflies. And then this one was just hilarious. And I drew it like this because this girl, she really had no butt at all. and so I was trying to get her body even, because you know, under the hopes that she would recognize herself. But yeah, her tramp stamp literally said tramp, and it was shaped like a cattle stamp. I thought that was super clever. Okay. Yeah, I remember this one too. I really like the band The Bird and the Bee. She said let's see, if you don't sing along with the next song, she'll dick slap you. And then she's like, that's a joke. Yeah, I haven't been reading these. So she says it's a joke because I don't have a dick. And yeah, I really felt like someone was going to say, prove it, you know? And I was like, really? No one's going to say it? Like, I think and so I knew it was kind of a douchey thing to do. But then I went and did it anyways. And then someone else yelled it at the same time. And I was like, damn. And I've been drawing my rat tail a lot in it, because at the time I had a rat tail. I ended up pulling it out a few months later, because I had vowed. Yeah, and this was like when I was talking about the Hare Krishnas. I totally didn't explain that because it was on the page. But when I was talking about vows, I had vowed when I was like 8 years old, my cousin had a rat tail and his mom made him cut it off. And I was like, I swear I will never cut mine off. And so I'm like 28 and I still have a fucking rat tail. And it was funny because whenever I'd see people, they'd be excited for a second because it was like over my shoulder. They couldn't see it. And they'd be like, oh, did you get rid of it? Like random people I went to art school with. And they'd like see that it was still there and be disappointed. When I was living in San Francisco, I ended up running out of money. And I was going to have to move back. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want to go back to Chicago. I didn't feel like I had a safety net. So I was like, I should get rid of this stupid rat tail because there's no way. Or no, this is before I got, before my girlfriend broke up with me. I was just telling that she was getting tired of my shit. So I could see that she was getting impatient because we made this deal that because she wanted to stay in, she didn't want to leave me, but she wanted to move to San Francisco because her best friend was moving there. And I said that I would move with her, but, you know, she'd have to support me for like 6 months. So at like month 3 or 4, I was like, oh yeah, she's not going to make it to 6 months and I'm going to be out of my ass. Well, the deal was that so I knew she was going to break up with me is what I was getting at. So, shortly after this. And so I pulled each hair out. So I didn't actually cut my rat tail off. So I had a little bald spot in the back of my neck where I'd yanked each hair out. So that took a long time to tell that story. Oh yeah. So we went to go see MIA and the sound effects it was like a cool display. She was playing on the same stage that Fatboy Slim played on. The looping machine, I guess, or something, like, was malfunctioning, so it was only playing war noises, like, on repeat, instead of just being at the beginning. And yeah, it was super... Oh man, I was getting a terrible headache. It was awful. Yeah, air sirens and guns. Yeah, that's what they're called, air sirens. Alright, or like air raid sirens, I guess. I don't know if air sirens is actually what it's called. Oh yeah. So this is the night we're at the main stage. I had met up with my girlfriend at this point, so I was with her and her friends. I don't know where my friends were at this point, but it was kind of cool because it was the first show I'd been to where everybody had cell phones, and so it was like really dark. It was just like a neat, I don't know. I'm sure everybody's seen that now. It's been long enough, but I don't have anything against Portishead. I just never like got into their music. Like I never bought their CDs or anything. And I was super tired, and I was wanting to see somebody after them. I think Prince. So I just laid down on the ground, even though there was garbage everywhere. And since my girlfriend's friends were around, I was like, yeah, guys, make sure I don't get trampled. I took a little nap. Yeah, it was, so we saw Prince, and what you don't realize about Prince is that he has a huge band of like 20 people. So even if you're not a huge fan of necessarily Prince, but you forget how much stuff of his was like funk back in the day. Like his older stuff is like funk, you know? Of course he's died since then. The man in this one. I can't even read the times. Yeah, so this is kind of it's an alright comic page. I haven't been talking very much about the actual making of comics. I've just been like reminiscing about. But this is again another list. Comics just work great for lists, so I'm always thinking about that. Yeah, I guess on this one I'll talk a little about like I'm always trying to break out of just doing boxes, trying to do different kind of layouts. You know, I try to make my stuff look visually interesting, and a lot of times it just comes out as kind of a mess, and it would probably look better if I just went with a more traditional layout. But you know, that's the thing with experimenting, is that a big part of experimenting is failure. So I guess the problem with me is I never got to the point where I was done experimenting and just actually doing the work, you know, with all the things I learned. But yeah, maybe somebody will learn from me. So yep, I really did spend hours. A lot of times during Coachella, there was no bands that I knew about, and I couldn't find anybody I was with. I was with like 10 people, you know, between my friends and my girlfriend's friends. I was with like 10 people, but there was a lot of time where I was just alone. And like, see, now I'm glad I went into that story earlier, because I was super broke. I was working. I was trying to build. See, the reason I moved to San Francisco and the reason I wanted 6 months was it wasn't 6 months of me not working. It was 6 months of me trying to build a client base so I could do illustration full time. I really don't have any job hunting skills. Most of my jobs I've gotten were nepotism. So what I was doing was I was combing a lot of like one ads. Like I went through every Craigslist, and by every Craigslist I mean I would go to every single city's Craigslist looking for the artist jobs, you know, like the artist gigs, and I would go through that. I want to say at first it was definitely every day, and then it was like every week, because there were certain places where, you know, nobody posted very often, you know, like Craigslist goes into some small towns, but you know, but it's like, you know, I was checking like 50 pages. So I was doing that, and then and what's kind of the ridiculous thing about it too was I wanted to move to San Francisco to make artist contacts, and then but like, you know, I didn't really get around to pounding pavement. I'd found out, oh yeah, when I pulled out my rat tail also, was we had a roommate, and the roommate was saying how like all his graphic designer friends are out of work, and I was like, well shit, I wouldn't have bothered, you know, trying to build up. If graphic designers are out of work, there's no way I'm getting work, you know, because like you know, like graphic designers are the first ones to get hired. Like they usually get, you know, before illustrators would, and and my graphic design skills are not as strong as a graphic designer. And like my better art that a lot of people like is stuff that basically any graphic designer could do, which is the reason I never like pushed it, was because I started seeing more and more people do the same style, and I was like, well, and actually a filter could do it to a degree. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna have to learn how to draw. So yeah, because it was photo reference based, so you know, it really did divorce itself of style to a large degree. Instead of spending my girlfriend's bottles, I would go around picking up empty bottles, or spending my girlfriend's money. I was collecting bottles. So and I still don't know if I said that right. I do not know what happened to my keychain. They actually did have my keychain, and I got it in the mail later. It says that here. But yeah, I had lost my key somehow. I'm not sure how I pulled that off. This Bowman's whistle, it was my uncle's when he was in the Navy. I didn't know that when I got it. I just got it because it looks like a pipe, and I thought it was funny. And I don't actually, I'm straight edge, so I don't smoke pot. I just grew up around drug people, so I think stuff like that's funny. The other thing that's hilarious, one time I got in a car accident and I had to go to court to contest the ticket on it, and because it was my fault. But the when I went through security, the guy totally sniffed the Bowman's whistle. He really did think it was a pipe. He was sitting there sniffing it to see if I brought paraphernalia in. So yeah, that was funny. Yeah, but I can't find that thing now. I don't know what happened to it. We don't. I wasn't using it for car keys, so in a while, and my kids were driving me crazy with it. So yeah, once I had kids, I stopped using it as a keychain. I need to find it now. Moving on. This is great. So this is funny because like I'm totally what they call a Bernie bro or whatever, and this is so telling that well, I guess she did run in the primary in 2004, but this guy said that he blamed Hillary Clinton for this ban not being able to get through immigration, which is like that's something to consider when you hear people talk about increasing security and stuff like that for visas and stuff, is that there's bans that you like that you might not be able to see because of that. So keep that in mind. I think I was starting to hurt on time a little bit on these because I think I had a number of them that took me more than an hour. Yeah, Gogol Bordello is another band that has a ton of people in the band. To show that off, I did this. The ladies in the band, they actually did crowd surf on top of a drum. And they're one of the bands that I saw, when I was living in Chicago and my friends were just looking for people to go with them. Great live band, and the first time I saw them was in this venue in Chicago, and not a huge venue, but anyways, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the name of it for some reason. You don't need to know that though. The singer was like near the end of the concert, which was over 2 hours. He's like, "I see that some of you are tired. Next time, 6-hour show, fuckers." So, yeah, just like a ton of energy, and yeah, they're great. Next up, this was a great moment because Roger Waters' inflatable pig got away. It was funny because I was like, do they really just let that thing go? Like, I was like, does he let one go every show? That's crazy. That can't be cheap. And then I found out that later he actually did offer a reward for the thing. It was found later because they were not supposed to let go of the pig. So I was kind of disappointed though, because I wanted to go see, I wanted to hear Comfortably Numb, but didn't. We ended up leaving to see another band first, and then I found out later that they did play it. So I was like, kind of disappointed. Yeah, I'm not like someone who dances a lot, but Gogol Bordello and Justice, those are bands you dance to. So, oh yeah, the little cowboy hat, this is how it met its end. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it says it's so she sacrificed it to Coachella. No, I was trying to guard it with my feet for a while, but that did not go well. I like this. See, actually, it's kind of funny. This drawing almost looks more like John's sister than it does like Lindsay, because there's just something John-ness to a lot of my drawings. Like, a lot of creators, or a lot of people, their drawings end up looking like themselves, but for some reason mine always look like John. I think part of it is because he probably has kind of a long face. I don't like drawing the eyes in the exact middle of the face. I like drawing it 2/3 up. Yeah, so that's probably part of it. So that's one thing. Style is the accumulation of your mistakes, as I believe I've said before. And so that's just one thing that always looks wrong to me when I draw the eyes where they're actually supposed to go. So it should make my stuff look more stylized, but it doesn't. So, or maybe it does. I don't know. Like I said, I've said in a previous video, I've started to see where my style is more. Yeah, this guy was a riot. He's just going on and on and on, and he had the weirdest accent, and he was like fucking high as hell. But yeah, this was like the coolest night in the camp. There's just something really nice about this night. We were just all outside a little fire, and we had all these random people coming to sit at our fire. Yeah, it was just really cool. There's just like a really cool vibe about it that night. It was nuts. Yeah, this first drawing, I felt like I did a good drawing of him. Of course, the second time I drew him, maybe that was a different guy. I don't know if I say it in here. Hold on. Oh yeah, it does say it in here. He had this little guy, Zippo, that he kept his drugs hiding in there. you put your weed in it. There's a super old reference. Anybody gets that? Oh, was that 24? Wait, no, that's 20. Wait. Yeah, that was the last one. So that was it. It ended in a weird place. So again, bad story. So story-wise, this was a fail. I'm pretty sure, because most of these took me 45 minutes. I'm pretty sure I made this one I could see took me like an hour and 20 minutes because the writing. I'm pretty sure that this was a different guy. It wasn't the same guy because he had a little accomplice with him. But anyways, so this is more of like just a trip down my own memories and my own little observations and less about doing a thing, or, and how well I did it. Part of the reason I make videos too is because I think about my own mortality a lot, and one day my kids might want to know more about me, so kind of put it all out there. And like I said, I feel like other people are kind of more interested in me than I am, so I try to put myself out there too. No, if I did this better, I would have written more about the way home or how the show wrapped up. But yeah, this was like, I wish I could have captured how well this night was, because there's just a really cool energy about it that night. Maybe it was because it was the last night, and yeah, it was like, it was fun. So, and I don't know if I know I said that he had a weird accent, but it was like an Australian or New Zealand accent. You know what? I don't think it was New Zealand, because I don't remember, because I now know that New Zealand's everything's supposed to sound like a question, because they kind of go up at the end. And so I don't think he did that. So, but it was something like that. He just had a really weird accent. But yeah, he was a character. Got a kick out of him. So that's it this time. This is the last 24-hour comic I've attempted besides Longtooth. So next time is going to be an actual 24-hour comic. I was thinking about not doing Longtooth, but it's already online, and the version I'm selling is not the 24-hour version. It's much rougher, so it could be, kind of interesting to listen or to go over that, what was going on with that. So I don't think I'll show how I fix things necessarily. Maybe a couple places. We'll see. So I haven't made all the decisions on how I'm going to do that. But until next time.